Brad Pitt, Johnny Depp, and Keanu Reeves. Modern masculinity in Hollywood is becoming a blast from the past, with studios' inability to manufacture new stars that the masses actually want to see. You're live with the guy Monday through Friday at noon Central. I got my producer over here.
Hello.
That's Nat. She's making this show run good and hopefully read some articles for me.
Yes.
Okay, let's start out with... Let's go into Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt F1 is coming out soon, so this should be pretty interesting. I'm going to kind of go over his previous films, what he's got coming up next, and we'll talk a little bit about F1 and some other projects that never really came to be. Okay, let's go into the first article.
So from Entertainment Weekly, the 14 best Brad Pitt movies from Fight Club to Moneyball. Whether he's playing a vampire opposite Tom Cruise or giving an Oscar-winning performance as Cliff Booth, these are the A-list movie stars' career highlights.
Yeah, and when he wasn't cashing in, taking big budget roles to just kind of make some money, and he was making smart selections like 12 Monkeys, Fight Clubs, these are some of the all-time classics. Just absolute great movies. He represents what masculinity once was and what Hollywood seems to be unable to manufacture in the modern sense. Okay, let's go into this list, and we'll just stick to the titles here, and I'll talk a little bit about some of them.
So 12 Monkeys.
12 Monkeys. This has to be my second favorite Brad Pitt movie. This was with Bruce Willis. After Fight Club, this is it. I absolutely love thrillers, movies with twists. This had more than just a few twists. Okay, let's keep going down here.
Ad Astra.
Yeah, I think they're going to go from least to most, at least in their opinion, although I would have put 12 Monkeys near the top.
The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, 2007.
Yeah, and we're going to see Brad Pitt really has a diversity of film roles. He wasn't just an action star or put in romantic films, things like that. He did everything. Let's keep going.
Burn After Reading, 2008.
Yeah, and I didn't think he was that great in this. I mean, he was good, but this was a comedy. I don't really think he shines in comedies as much as his more dramatic roles or his thrillers.
The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, 2008.
This was good as well. It had these twists, and he reversed age in this thing. It was really groundbreaking for the time in Hollywood.
Fight Club, 1999.
And that's my all-time favorite. How did you feel about Fight Club?
That's my favorite too. I read because I love the novel. I read the novel first by Chuck Palahniuk, and then I can quote the movie by heart.
And Brad Pitt was absolutely phenomenal in there, and Edward Norton was the perfect casting to play the counterpart to that. And the twist at the end was unbelievable. There are talks of Fight Club Part 2. There's no way they're going to match the first one. No. Okay, let's continue to go down here.
Inglourious Basterds, 2009.
Yeah, and this was big because this was Quentin Tarantino, and there's rumors of Brad Pitt perhaps being in Quentin Tarantino's last film. Let's continue to go down here.
Interview with the Vampire, 1994.
I almost forgot about this. This had to be one of my favorite movies as well. This was Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. They were recently rumored to be in another movie together, but they couldn't afford both actors in a single film. At this point, maybe they were a little bit cheaper to get because Brad Pitt was just emerging in his career.
Meet Joe Black, 1998.
This was for the women. I didn't like it quite as much, but it still did have a little bit of twists and turns in this. So I did watch this. Not one of my favorites, but not a bad movie. Even when I don't like Brad Pitt movies, they seem to be solid.
Moneyball, 2011.
This was fantastic. I mean, this really was the coming out of Jonah Hill in this, but Brad Pitt played this fantastically. This was a good selection by him. It was a little bit different than all of his other movies. He can play average Joe very well, but he can also play very specific characters like a vampire or other things like this. Let's continue to go down here. That may be the last one. Oh, Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2019.
And we can see he's building a relationship with Quentin Tarantino, and this is turning out very well for him. I didn't necessarily like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that much. I actually didn't like it, but Brad Pitt was excellent in it for the role he did play.
A River Runs Through It, 1992.
And this is older. I maybe haven't seen this one, or this is right around the time I was watching a lot of movies, so maybe I just don't remember it. Let's actually read a little bit about that.
In this novella-inspired Montana set film, Pitt plays Paul McLean, the son of a reverend and younger brother of academic Norman Craig Schaefer. The movie, directed by Robert Redford, is a beautiful slice-of-life vignette, complete with a story of family, companionship, love, and loss.
Okay, probably why I didn't watch that one. Let's continue to go down. And this was one of my other favorite movies. I mean, when Brad Pitt plays in a thriller, that's when he's really at his best. The 12 Monkeys, Seven, man, these were fantastic movies. Fight Club.
Snatch, 2000.
And this was just a good role. This was different than anything else he did. He really fit the role of a gypsy in this movie. It was fantastic.
And that's it.
And that's it. Okay, let's go into the article I grabbed. And this was about F1 coming up. And this is kind of why I'm showing Brad Pitt. And if we look at his variety of roles, he really did every role very well, whether it was romantic, whether it was a thriller, whether it was a comedy. He isn't manufactured masculinity. He really fits the role in every type of film he's in.
Pitt, so from The Guardian, Brad Pitt in the paddock, how F1 movie went deep to keep fans coming. F1 and Liberty Media went to great lengths to assist filming with Star's APX team embedded within the sport.
Yeah, and I kind of grabbed this article so we can see a look behind the scenes of his new film, F1, and they really committed to this. I watched the trailer during Mission Impossible. It looked fantastic. I am planning to go to the theaters and watch this. Hopefully I can get some time. I'm editing 3 videos a day now. So I'm pretty packed with my schedule. But let's go down this list really quick.
After the British Grand Prix last year, the drivers took their places in the media zone to conduct interviews with Formula One world champions Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, and Fernando Alonso among them. Yet it was all but impossible not to glance sideways as Brad Pitt nonchalantly strolled out to face the microphones and cameras of his own entirely staged media scrum. None of us in the media pack openly goggled at the fact that Hollywood's A-list had joined the sweaty throng because Pitt was there filming what would become the F1 movie. Okay, let's move down a little bit. And obviously the UFC has done this as well, when there was Hollywood movies filming where they need UFC scenes. They actually filmed it at the stadium with the real crowd, and they just either took a break or did it before or after. So the production filmed at circuits on real race weekends for over 2 years. The APX team enjoyed their own pit garage, their own hospitality, and their own uniforms. With Pitt being filmed alongside real drivers and indeed the media around the grind and the paddock, the working area of the F1 team, the filmmakers were effectively embedded within the sport as its 11th team, perhaps as deeply as it is possible for an entity to go without actually being a real team.
Well, it's interesting. Over 2 years they were filming at real racetracks. That's a real commitment. Most filming is going to take between 6 and 12 months at the longest. So the fact that they were this committed to the authenticity is absolutely fantastic. And let's go down to the end of the article here.
So it says, purists will sniff at some of the pictures, deviations from certain aspects of F1's realities, and its concessions to dramatic and narrative convention to propel it as entertainment, but it was meant to be a blockbuster, not a documentary, and that's what matters to F1 and the producers. After the film screenings in the US, Apple Senior Vice President Eddie Q said that very few of those attending had previously seen an F1 race, but their reactions were instructive. When we finish and we ask how many of you would like to go see a race now, literally every single hand goes up, he said. We think there's a huge opportunity to grow the sport all over the world, and with this movie, I think it will do that.
Well, and it's not just F1. Racing as a sport and a culture is emerging immensely. I follow a lot of economics of sports and things like that, just like I kind of follow Hollywood. And the Daytona 500, we're breaking records this weekend. F1's breaking records on TV. This is emerging as one of the premier sports. I am not a big race fan, but I cover it in the sense that I follow the economics of sports, and F1 is emerging while the NBA is following. So I think this was a perfect selection, and it's being released at the perfect time to capitalize on a race fan base, which is really emerging into a new era. Okay, let's go into what could have been. And let's not forget an interview with a vampire. Brad Pitt played opposite of Tom Cruise in that movie.
So from Variety, Tom Cruise reunites with Brad Pitt at F1 premiere. Actors were supposed to race together in Ford versus Ferrari movie that got axed over budget.
Yeah, and I believe it ended up being Matt Damon in that movie with Christian Bale, wasn't it?
I don't remember the second guy.
I think it was Matt Damon, Christian Bale, but this would have been a good duo too. Actually, Matt Damon, Christian Bale worked very well in that movie. I would have liked to see Matt Damon maybe opposite Brad Pitt would have worked very well. Okay, let's read a little bit about this.
Tom Cruise made a surprise appearance at the F1 premiere in London, joining Brad Pitt on the red carpet as the two A-list stars posed for photographs together. It was a reunion 31 years in the making, as Pitt and Cruise starred together in Neil Jordan's 1994 horror classic Interview with the Vampire. Pitt made headlines earlier this month by telling E! News at the Mexico premiere for F1 that he would be interested in acting opposite Cruise again, though the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's Oscar winner is not too interested in matching Cruise's love for aerial stunts.
Yeah, so I think Brad Pitt's a little bit more calmed down, doesn't want to do stunts. Tom Cruise, that's what he's making his name for now. They did well in an Interview with a Vampire. That was also almost a 3-hour movie, so there was plenty of time for both stars to get their just due and their screen time. Trying to cram them into like an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 30 minutes. I don't know if you're going to be able to flesh out two characters in that amount of time. So I would like to see them in a movie together, maybe another Interview with a Vampire. Okay, let's go into what does Brad Pitt have kind of coming up over the next few years, and it's interesting here. Oh, no, it's going to be on my notes. So you're just going to read off of my notes that I gathered all of his confirmed filmed and rumored films. I actually think they're all confirmed, though.
Okay.
It's right on the side screen there.
So F1 confirmed release June 27, 2025.
So yeah, we all know F1 is out. It's looking big. So let's go into the next one here.
The Adventures of Cliff Booth, filming July 2025. Pitt reprises his Oscar-winning role as Cliff Booth from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in an episodic film written by Quentin Tarantino and directed by David Fincher. Described as not really a sequel, it's set for Netflix with filming starting summer 2025. No official title or release date yet.
And again, he's teaming up with Quentin Tarantino here, which I think is good, especially because I think later on in these movies, if I remember my notes correctly, he's going to be in Quentin Tarantino's rumored last film. Okay, let's continue to go here.
The Movie Critic, rumored release 2025. Pitt is reportedly set to star in Quentin Tarantino's final film, The Movie Critic, set in 1970s Southern California, centering on a cynical film reviewer. While not officially confirmed, multiple sources suggest Pitt's involvement. The film is slated for a 2025 theatrical release.
Yeah, and I would definitely, they said he's rumored to be in this movie. I think Quentin Tarantino's working with him again. He's worked a lot with Brad Pitt, and we know Quentin Tarantino likes to work with actors that he knows. He knows their range. He knows they can hit the marks that he needs, especially if it's his final film. Him and Brad Pitt have really grown close in the numbers of the movies they've done over the years. That previous movie that we talked about, ready for Netflix, is probably the test run to see if they want to confirm him for Tarantino's final movie. And if it is Tarantino's final movie, it looks a little bit boring just based on the plot to me, but it will make headlines because, again, it is Tarantino's final movie. Okay, let's continue.
Land of Opportunity, directed by Jeff Nichols. Dystopian film is set during the Great Depression and oil crisis, focusing on farmers resisting government crop seizures in Arkansas. Pitt is the only confirmed cast member, with filming planned for May 2025.
And I think this will be huge. I mean, a lot of people might not like the plot or the general thing because it's a period piece. That sounds fantastic to me. It pits farmers against the government. On our night show at 9:15, where we cover more politics, this is one of the touch subjects I'm always going on. And things like this are kind of emerging in the EU and the United States and all over the world right now. So this might be a great time to capitalize on a plot like that.
Heart of the Beast, filming underway. Pitt stars in this action-adventure directed by David Ayer, playing a former Army Special Forces soldier stranded in Alaskan wilderness with his combat dog. J.K. Simmons also cast. Filming is ongoing, but no release date announced.
Yeah, and that sounds like it could be very good to me. I'd be attracted to that movie as well. So the last two movies of the bunch that are coming up for him appeal to me the most. Trapped in the Wilderness can get kind of boring because the lack of locations and the lack of interaction with other actors, but we'll see what happens. I will probably most likely want to see that.
And Wolf sequel announced, no specific timeline. Following the 2024 release of Wolves with George Clooney, a sequel is in development for Apple TV with Pitt, Clooney, and director John Watts returning. Details are sparse and no filming or release timeline has yet been confirmed.
Yeah, if any of the movies on there, that's the one I would drop. Attaching himself with Clooney, I don't think is a good idea right now. Clooney has been much too outspoken on politics. Any of the next films he does are going to be teetering on cancellation because of that. Brad Pitt may want to steer clear of George Clooney, at least in an actual film he's going to star with him in. Okay, that's it for Brad Pitt. Like and subscribe if you haven't done so. I'm trying to get to 1,000. The first 1,000 subscribers are the most important to a content creator because that's what helps us reach monetization. Okay. Let's go into, let me see on my list here. And we're going to sit, I'm clipping all these segments. Today's about masculinity. So that's why you see the background changing behind me. We'll go into Johnny Depp next.
Oh, and Rafa says, hello, Rafa. How are you doing? Thank you for being here.
Okay, let's go back to the screen. Johnny Depp, rumored to be in the new Pirates of the Caribbean. Let's take a look back at his career and what might be coming up. Okay, let's go into the first article here. And kind of like what I did with my Brad Pitt segment, we're going to do with Johnny Depp here. And we're going to take a look back at his career. Johnny Depp is known for doing a lot of risk-taking roles, doing independent films, sacrificing some of his salary in order to make a good movie. Let's go into it.
So the top 10 Johnny Depp movies ranked.
And I believe it's going to start worst to best. That's typically how these articles go.
Number 10, Dead Man, 1995.
Okay, and let's leave it here for a second. I actually seen this movie when it came out. This was an independent film. A lot of people would have not seen this film. It's black and white. It's an artsy film, yet it did hit mainstream and cult notoriety. He did a fantastic job in this. I'm not saying the movie was the best movie, but Johnny Depp was fantastic in this movie. He's the kind of actor that can carry a movie, an independent, low-budget movie on his own. He's that good of an actor. A lot of actors need all the lights and the budget in order for them to even try to maintain the vanity of making a real movie. Okay, let's continue to go.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, 1998.
This had to be one of my favorite. I don't know if it's my favorite. There is a lot of good Johnny Depp movies, but this definitely was one of my favorite. Johnny Depp does a lot of drug movies, this, Blow, other things like this, and he was fantastic. He was actually good friends with the writer of the book. Why don't you read a little bit about this? Hunter S. Thompson is what I was trying to remember there.
Terry Gilliam's adaptation of Hunter S. Thompson novel stars Depp as the Gonzo journalist himself alongside Benicio del Toro as Dr. Gonzo. This cult classic follows a drug-addled pair on their misadventures through Las Vegas.
And Benicio del Toro also was fantastic in this, but next to Johnny Depp, he paled in comparison. I do see a lot of memes coming up about Benicio and how he is the Latin version of Brad Pitt. When you put them next to each other, surprisingly, they look very similar. And I had never really thought about it until I seen the memes. You'd be surprised. You're giving me a weird look. Okay, let's go into the next movie here.
Blow, 2001.
Fantastic movie. And he's teaming up with Penelope Cruz again in a movie that should be coming out soon that was filmed quite a while ago. They're a pretty good match. They work well together. I believe their upcoming movie will be their third movie. I absolutely love Blow. This was a biopic of an independent paraphernalia dealer and how he went from nothing to kind of controlling a large empire. This was absolutely fantastic. It also showed his downfall.
Finding Neverland,
And
2004.
What did you think about this?
I don't like it.
You didn't like it.
It's too sad.
Okay, let's keep going here, and let's not forget the majority of my favorite Brad Pitt and Johnny Depp movies are going to be when they were in these action movies or these thrillers. I really liked when they did thrillers and independent films, but both those actors came up with a female audience first. The beginning of their career was based around capturing a female audience. That audience followed them for the rest of their career, and then they added on a male audience in the middle and later halves of their career.
What's Eating Gilbert Grape, 1993.
And Leonardo DiCaprio stole the show in this thing. Johnny Depp played the good co-lead in this film, but this movie really made Leo.
Donnie Brasco, 1997.
An absolutely fantastic movie. This is another one of, man, he did so many good movies, but this was very, very good. He played an undercover cop. He did it very well. He played opposite of Al Pacino. This is when Al Pacino actually still had it before him and De Niro kind of fallen off in recent years.
Ed Wood, 1994.
And I did not see this movie. So, you seen it? Oh,
a long time ago.
Why didn't you say something about it then?
Well, it was interesting because it went into it was Tim Burtonian.
Okay, that was a great take on your part.
I'm trying to figure out how to fix this. Edward Scissorhands, 1990.
Yeah, and this is when he worked with Tim Burton, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? Yeah. It was a solid film for what it was. Not one of my favorites. It was still a very solid movie. I know you like this movie.
Yes, but I'm not such a big fan of Tim Burton.
Oh, you don't like Tim Burton?
No.
I really do like Tim Burton. It was a good matchup, and it hit the mark for what it was. Okay, let's continue to go down.
Platoon, 1986.
And I think this is what really made Johnny. After 21 Jump Street, he was in this, and this really showed his versatility. This was an ensemble cast. Oliver Stone did this movie, and it was absolutely fantastic. So from this is how he kind of went from known actor to superstar, because I think he had his pick of roles after this movie.
And number 1, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl.
And we all know Pirates of the Caribbean. He made this film. He made all of these films. If they take him out of these films, it's going to crash and burn. They need him back. However many llamas they need to give him, they need to give him that. We're actually going to go into our next article based upon this. Let's go right into it.
From Men's Journal, Pirates of the Caribbean 6, boss breaks silence on Johnny Depp's potential return. The intrigue around a potential return of Jack Sparrow remains a hot-button topic.
Yeah, and he doesn't actually say much in this article, but it's not just this article. I kind of grabbed this. The rumor is swirling around Johnny Depp. I think Disney knows they need him. If they don't have him, this movie is going to fail in spectacular fashion. If they have him and they end up making a good movie, it has a real chance to succeed. They know the formula with Johnny Depp, so if they can get him back, they can make this work.
While the last film in the Pirates of the Caribbean series was released over 8 years ago, fans have held out hope that it didn't mark the last time they'll see Jack Sparrow. Although little has been said publicly about potential Pirates of the Caribbean 6, rumors signal that it remains a possibility. Fortunately, the latest comments from franchise producer Jerry Bruckheimer added a bit of fuel to that fire. While Bruckheimer addressed the potential for a 6th installment in the Pirates of the Caribbean series, he also addressed one other pivotal topic, the potential return of former cast members. This, of course, would include Johnny Depp, whose character Jack Sparrow has long been in the face of the franchise. Well,
and I think they're saying this is rumored. I think Disney wants to make this happen more than anything. The question is Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, if he signs on, they're going to make the movie. If he doesn't, I don't think they will. You would have to be an idiot to make another Pirates without Johnny.
So while Bruckheimer was promoting the F1 movie, he spoke with Screen Rant and said, "We're working on a screenplay. Hopefully we'll get it right, and then we'll make it. We really want to make it, that's for sure." Then came the question of whether it will feature new actors or the old cast, and Bruckheimer's cryptic response was noteworthy. Well, not all new actors. We'll have some back, Bruckheimer responded. I'm not going to tell you which ones, you'll have to guess. Probably Bloom. Orlando Bloom.
Well, Orlando Bloom's really fallen off. I'm going to expect definitely Johnny, they need him. They're not making the movie without him. But let's talk about why they need him back, why it's so important, especially for this character. Johnny Depp embodies this character on screen, but also off screen. Let's hit the next article and talk about it.
So from People, Johnny Depp dresses as Jack Sparrow for a surprise visit to Children's Hospital in Spain. The actor's latest visit to a children's hospital as Jack comes as he films his newest movie, Day Drinker, in Spain.
And he does this all the time. He's known for dressing up like Jack Sparrow, going to children's hospitals, doing a lot of Make-A-Wish foundations things. He doesn't try to get publicity on it, but when he does things like this, the media constantly talks about it. And this is why we don't want to see anybody else as Jack Sparrow. Johnny is that character. Let's read a little bit about this. Well, let's go into the three talking points they have there.
So Johnny Depp donned his Pirates of the Caribbean character Jack Sparrow's garb once again to visit kids at Niño Jesus University Children's Hospital in Madrid. The visit comes less than a year after he stopped by Donostia University Hospital in San Sebastián, Spain, for a similar outing in September 2000.
Yeah, and he does these appearances all over the world. So he's very interesting character. Let's continue to go here.
At the hospital, Depp visited patients admitted to the pediatrics and oncology ward. While there, he laughed with the children and never broke character. Local newspaper reported at the time.
And that's the thing. He doesn't break character when he's in the hospital, which is absolutely fantastic. These kids are just ecstatic to see him as that character. And the fact that he was able to come back from that Me Too attempted a cancellation of that mountain of lies. And he was able to not only hopefully rebuild his career, but claim back who he is and his identity. And if they put him in the next Pirates of the Caribbean, he will be reclaiming that character, not just for him, but for all the children he visits in these hospitals and things like that. Okay, let's go. That was it for the article? Yeah. Okay, let's go into what he's got coming up. So what's kind of confirmed, and we do know what is rumored. So Pirates of the Caribbean 6 is the rumored film, but he's got a lot of things that have either finished but not been released. They stopped the release of a lot of these movies, or they delayed them because of the Me Too scandal that was surrounding them. Now that he's kind of found innocent in the eyes of the public and the courts, they're going to start releasing these movies, but we have to realize some of these are a little bit older.
So Day Drinker, filming underway, no release date.
So Day Drinker was already pre-filmed, and now they're looking to release it very soon, actually. He'll fit in that role because he does have a drinking problem. And we're going to go a little bit into that, not to kind of hate on him, but to talk about in the context of his future roles.
So, an action thriller directed by Mark Webb, co-starring Penelope Cruz and Madeline Klein. The story follows a cruise ship bartender, Klein, who becomes entangled with Depp's character, and a criminal figure. Filming began in Spain in 2025.
And let's go on to the next movie here.
Carnival at the End of Days. Filming scheduled for January 2025. Directed by Terry Gilliam, this comedy features Depp as Satan, who tries to save humanity from God's wrath to preserve his job. The cast includes Adam Driver, Jason Momoa, and Jeff Bridges. $30 million budget. Filming set to begin January.
And this is a very low budget. You got Jeff Bridges, Jason Momoa, and Johnny Depp. So they all three must be taking pay cuts to be in that movie. I'm guessing it was probably, what did it say when the filming was?
January 2025.
Okay.
And I'm guessing they took pay cuts because it's Terry Gilliam. Of course you're going to do a film directed by, or with something to do with Terry Gilliam. And then Modi,
But also Johnny Depp's well known for taking pay cuts and doing a ton of independent films. Okay, let's continue.
Modi, 3 Days on the Wings of Madness, Depp's second directorial feature. This film is a biographical drama about Italian artist Amadeo Modigliani, starring Riccardo Scaramiccio, Stephen Graham, and Al Pacino. It focuses on a 72-hour period in Modigliani's life in World War II era Paris. The film premiered at San Sebastian Film Festival in September 2024.
And the key for this one, and this is why I'm not so psyched on this, and I said I would talk about Johnny Depp's drinking. This is a directing gig, not an acting gig. As an actor, you can perform at a very high level even when you're drinking. We've seen Johnny Depp do it. But as a director or a producer, it's a lot harder to perform at a high level, especially when you got the kind of drinking problem Johnny does have. That being said, he also has his own studio and things like this. Things haven't gone so well. He does much better as an actor with a team of people around him to kind of help him. He has worked with Al Pacino, which is good. I just don't know how that movie's going to turn out.
Speaking of masculinity, why do you think Depp embodies masculinity?
All these actors that I'm kind of profiling over the next few days in my video and today on my live embody masculinity because they don't try to over masculinize themselves. We see the roles they pick. They pick independent films. They pick comedies. They pick thrillers. They usually don't play overly tough guys, or if they do, it's in a single role and they complement that with a lot of other roles. It really shows the varied degree of masculinity. It's not somebody like The Rock, who is overly masculine, is really compensating. Yes, he does comedy films, but you still see him as this muscle-bound oomph, and he's not real masculinity. It's this fake form of masculinity, and that's kind of what Hollywood's been trying to produce over the last few years with their new stars. They don't know how to get these stars that can really shine in every role and shine in every aspect of masculinity, whether it's humorous masculinity or action or thrillers, things like this, and the dynamic roles showing vulnerability and things like that. So, okay, let's continue to go.
That's it?
Oh, that was it. Oh, you didn't read the studios that were directing the in these films. It was interesting because when I was profiling Brad Pitt and I was profiling Johnny Depp, the two studios that kept popping up on the films that I actually wanted to see when I kind of read the synopsis of the scripts was Apple Films and Lionsgate Films. So Lionsgate, we all know, but Apple, on the other hand, is really starting to merge, and they have a lot of things in production right now. So I would look forward to that. So that's it on Johnny Depp. I will give updates as his new movies come out. He is trying to make a return to Hollywood. He did that interview we profiled the other day. And a lot of these movies he's rumored to be in were kind of already put in production. I'm interested to see what he picks now that his reemergence into Hollywood is kind of upon us. I think he's going to be able to handpick whatever roles he wants, and I would expect him to make good selections. Okay, let's switch the background and go into our last actor of modern masculinity.
That one? No.
Yeah, this one's good.
Okay.
So, Keanu Reeves in the John Wick universe, he never really fell off, but the John Wick universe put him into a new kind of stardom. Let's go into Keanu Reeves and how he represents modern masculinity in Hollywood. Let's take a look back at his career first. Kind of what I've been doing on profiling masculinity in Hollywood with Johnny Depp and Brad Pitt. We'll take a look back at Keanu Reeves.
So the 10 best Keanu Reeves movies ranked by Collider.
And Keanu Reeves, I like him. He has the weakest resume of the bunch of the three actors I have profiled in recent days, but he has the most success in the later half of his career, especially picking huge IP movies. He's probably in some of the biggest IPs that are around today. And let's start out. It goes from least to most. I have to admit, I would have put Point Break near the top of this list. This really endeared me to Keanu Reeves early in his career. This was with Patrick Swayze. Patrick Swayze was absolutely phenomenal in this movie. So was Keanu Reeves. He was a good counterpart to him. And this was about an undercover cop. And I would have put this maybe number 3 or 4. Okay, let's continue to go down the list here.
River's Edge, 1986.
Yeah, and I believe he played opposite River Phoenix in this. Was this correct? Let's read a little bit about it.
Doesn't say.
Okay, let's continue to go down.
Parenthood, 1989.
Yeah, and this is kind of what I'm talking about, masculinity. You don't just play these action hero roles. Whether it was him, Johnny Depp, Brad Pitt, they had a variety of roles, and this was one of them. Let's continue to go down.
Here's where he played opposite Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
Dangerous Liaisons, 1988.
And this is one of the few movies I haven't seen. It seems like there was always one movie I haven't seen in the bunch when we were going down.
My Own Private Idaho, 1991.
This was the movie that he did early in his career with River Phoenix and not the last one. So, yeah, this was more of a low-budget movie. It was with emerging actors. Keanu Reeves was one of the young stars that was running with that crowd of Johnny Depp, River Phoenix, and things like this. Okay, let's continue on. And I think now we're going to start getting into some of the more heavy-hitter movies.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, 1989.
Yeah, and this was the movie that made him early in his career and kind of launched his career, put him on the scene. This was during my time, and I absolutely love this movie. Kids remember this movie, or not kids, but kids from my era definitely remember this movie. This was a time-traveling movie. The sequel to this was not good. The original was fantastic.
Toy Story 4 in 2019.
Yeah, and I didn't actually know he was in Toy Story 4. Did you?
No.
Okay, let's continue to go here.
Speed, 1994.
Yeah, and this was big. He was already a rising star at this point, but Sandra Bullock, this really was her premiere movie into the spotlight. So their pairing on camera worked very well for them. Okay, let's continue to go down.
John Wick, Chapter 4, 2023.
Yeah, I don't know why they put part 4, but all the John Wicks, he was phenomenal in. And this is the IP that has really catapulted his career to a new level. John Wick as a whole has a whole John Wick universe they're currently expanding into right now with Ballerina and a bunch of other sub characters, animated series. This thing is blowing up, and it's all off the back of Keanu Reeves. Let's continue to go down.
And The Matrix, 1999.
And The Matrix, this is what made him, and this is what kind of allowed the John Wick universe to be. It was on the back of this film. This film was phenomenal at the time. 1999 was the perfect time to release this. This was groundbreaking at the time. Even today, the script was phenomenal. I showed it to you because you hadn't seen it. You didn't like it, but I think it appeals more to guys and sci-fi fans. But just the intellectual twists and turns of the script, it really made you think. So let's continue to go down here.
That's it.
Oh, that was it. Okay, there was something else. Oh, Constantine. I would have put Constantine on the list. I thought it was phenomenal. I'm a big sci-fi fan as well, especially when they do it gracefully. And I would say Constantine was done very gracefully, and there was a human characteristic to the main character. Okay, let's go into the article I grabbed. And Keanu Reeves' article was a little bit different than the articles I grabbed for Johnny Depp and Brad Pitt, and it was of his wife.
Girlfriend.
Or his girlfriend. Okay.
So from the Daily Mail, Keanu Reeves' girlfriend, Alexandra Grant, raises eyebrows as they make red carpet appearance.
Yeah, and it's surprising because Keanu Reeves' girlfriend is not a very good-looking girl, so he must see something else in her. And and if you really see behind the scenes of Keanu's Reeves' life, he likes motorcycles, he likes the hobbies he likes. He's really humble, and you got to really think that he probably really loves this woman a lot, and it has a lot less to do with looks and probably who she is. Okay, let's go into this article here.
Hollywood hunk, I don't know if I'd call him a hunk, but Hollywood hunk Keanu Reeves and his girlfriend Alexandra Grant were the definition of relationship goals as they attended the premiere of Ballerina on Tuesday. Ballerina is in the latest installment in the John Wick franchise with Ana de Armas starring as the lead character Eva Macaro. Keanu, 60, made an awe-inducing move with his partner, 52, as he sweetly guided her on the
And she looks a lot older than him, I will have to admit. And he's starting to...
She looks like what normal women look at that age.
Oh, calm down there. Okay, let's continue to go down.
There's not much else.
Oh, what's all that it's saying there?
You want me to read it?
No, you can just move on and we won't have a video, but no problem. Okay, let's go on to his upcoming movies. Natalia?
Let me find a...
It's in the notes on the side.
But I need a photo of him.
Okay, and I guess I'm going to start to read it. The first upcoming movie is going to be Ballerina. We all know this. He made a guest appearance in this movie to kind of prop up this movie. It didn't do well in the box office, or not what it was expected to do. The movie itself, critics actually liked the fact that they put a female lead in this. Even John Wick himself couldn't kind of save the movie because of the backlash. And
so Good Fortune, a comedy written and directed by Aziz Ansari, where Reeves plays down on his luck angel who loses his wings and swaps the lives of struggling man Ansari and his rich boss, Seth Rogen.
Yeah, and this sounds like it could work. So, again, it has a little bit of a sci-fi twist with him playing an angel. Let's continue to go here.
Outcome, a dark comedy directed by Jonah Hill, co-written with Ezra Woods. Reeves stars as Hollywood star facing a scandal when a mysterious video from his past surfaces.
Yeah, and this was made by Apple TV. And again, I'll keep saying it, but Apple TV and Lionsgate has a lot of movies that are currently in production they're really capitalizing when all these other studios are kind of downsizing. They're really going full-fledged forward.
The Entertainment System is down. Social satire directed by Ruben Östlund, set on a long-haul flight where the entertainment system fails, leading to chaos.
Okay, that seems a little bit weak on the script, but let's continue to go down here.
Berserker, a live-action adaptation of the comic book series co-created by Reeves and Matt Kindt, produced by Netflix. Reeves stars as B, an 80,000-year-old immortal working for the U.S. government. Mattson Tomlin is writing the script, and Reeves will also voice B in a spin-off anime series.
And this is the crazy sci-fi movies Keanu really shines in, whether it's The Matrix, Constantine, or John Wick. If that movie is a success, it's going to be another sci-fi IP that he's really capitalized on. So let's continue to go down here.
Constantine 2, a sequel to the 2005 dark fantasy film with Reeves reprising his role as the supernatural exorcist, directed by Francis Lawrence, with a script by Akia Goldsman. The project was pitched to DC Studios in 2023. Peter Stormare returns as Lucifer while in development. Now filming or release timeline is confirmed.
Yeah, and I would hope that the order of these movies, Constantine 2 does get greenlit and it comes out before the Berserker, because it's going to be a high budget Hollywood film and it's going to reprise his role, and people are going to, it's a similar role to what kind of the Berserker is with sci-fi. So I hope they go Constantine and then the Berserker. I think that would work better for the Berserker itself. It sounds like the Berserker is a project that Keanu Reeves is highly involved in with the comic book and things like that. So it's more of a passion project. He should launch it off the back of Constantine 2.
Then rumored project, John Wick 5.
And there was rumors he wasn't going to do any more John Wicks. It looks like they're going to get him back, which is absolutely fantastic. As these new Keanu Reeves movies come out, I will review them. I will talk about them. He is one of these stars in Hollywood that they're having to continue to use because they can't make new stars.
But I also think he's a different star. And speaking of masculinity, like with the story I think you were trying to do about his girlfriend, the fact that he openly admits that he loves this woman and doesn't try to performatively just date whoever the studio tells him to, like a lot of others do, or like Leo DiCaprio, whose cutoff age is 23. I think that's what actual masculinity is about, in my opinion.
Well, and when you look behind the scenes at Brad Pitt's life, I had done a series. So if you're watching this on one of my clip shows, I did a series of Brad Pitt, Johnny Depp, and Keanu Reeves. Brad Pitt was actually brought through the ringer, and he's a shell of his former self after Angelina Jolie. Johnny Depp has major drinking and drug issues. Keanu Reeves really has a real good sense of himself, who he is, what he wants in his life, what his passions are. He pursues those passions. He's not overly consumed with money or other things. Money comes to him through his passions, but that is not his main motivating driver. Keanu Reeves really seems to have his head on his shoulders in his personal life more than any other male star, at least of the ones that I had profiled. So I do tip my hat to Keanu Reeves, and I look forward to whatever he does. And I think he's not just a male role model on screen, but he's one of those few Hollywood stars that can be a role model for people off screen, or at least what I've seen behind the scenes with him.
And he also keeps his private life private. And I think it was after the passing of his girlfriend. I think that's what made him be the way he is. Jennifer Sim.
And you keep saying things when I keep trying to cut the clip.
Well, that's an important part of the story that you missed. So it's important to put it in there because that's what the pivotal moment where his life changed and he changed the way he was behaving.
Okay. And yeah, and I kind of profiled those three for a reason. It's to show that Hollywood can't not manufacture stars like they used to, and it's becoming an issue. These stars used to go to different studios, pick different roles, things like this. And now it seems to be that Disney is trying to manufacture somebody like Pedro Pascal, so they have him exclusively to their studio, or they try to get him as exclusive as possible. They try to manufacture these careers rather than actors. Once they've made it, they're able to kind of pick their own roles and things like this. And all these actors I kind of profiled have a wide range of movies they can act in that they're good in, and Hollywood is just not able to manufacture this anymore. Okay, let's go into now all the some of the headlines of the day.
And Rafa says, Bill and Ted are awesome. I once disguised as Bill along with my best friend who went as Ted.
Yeah, both of them were good, but the other guy kind of disappeared into nothingness. Well, Keanu Reeves, that cannonballed his career. That had to be one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. It really did hit the mark for 80s kids and things like that. It had rock and roll, fantasy, time travel. It had everything. Okay, let's go into the first article here now. And we're going to go less in depth. We're just going to kind of talk about the articles, how the old show used to be before I started clipping.
I think it was better. From Deadline, Amazon, MGM Studios, and Sony Pictures ink multi-year international theatrical distribution deal.
And this is about Amazon trying to get international distribution. They started with streaming and things like this, and they're wanting to go more into theaters and mainstream distribution. So they're able to ink these deals with these other companies because they're not a movie studio first and they just have money to burn. This is easy for them because they can offer benefits in other realms to these distribution partners.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, read a little bit about it.
Amazon, MGM Studios, and Sony Pictures Entertainment have inked a multi-year deal for Sony to distribute the former's upcoming titles After the Hunt, Mercy, Crime 101, and Project Hail Mary abroad. Yes, Amazon MGM is continuing to build its own international theatrical distribution infrastructure. The new deal will fill the gap as Amazon MGM Studios' international deal with Warner Brothers ends, and the shopping site Streamer Theatrical Distributor looks for a chief executive to lead its new foreign distribution arm. Following those theatrical releases, Amazon MGM will directly distribute its slate in territories overseas, where it launches owned and operated offices, with Sony supporting the studio in other international markets.
Yeah, and there's big things on the horizon for Amazon Studios. They're inking a lot of cooperation deals with other major corporations, whether it's in advertising, whether it's in distribution for films, or whether it's in their product distribution and things like that. And let's not forget, Amazon itself is the one company that will always have a base for their streaming service, Amazon Prime. Why? Because you get a free Prime subscription when you sign up for Amazon Prime. This is why Amazon is going to be one of the big players in Hollywood, even if they don't hit the mark every time. Okay, let's continue to go into the next story. And I put the next story in here because I just did profile Brad Pitt earlier today, and this was in the headlines today.
So from Variety, Brad Pitt's LA home ransacked by burglars.
Yeah, and I was watching Culture Casino talk about this, and I believe he's probably hit the nail on the head. Brad Pitt has hundreds of millions of dollars. He probably has security at all of his homes, I would suspect, especially his LA home. So how are they ransacking his place? An inside job is what I would have thought as well. So let's go into this a little bit.
Police are investigating a burglary at a Los Angeles home reportedly owned by Brad Pitt. The actor was not on the premises at the time of the break-in on Wednesday evening, as he has been traveling to promote his new racing thriller F1. The red carpet premiere on Monday. The Los Angeles Police Department confirmed to the Associated Press and NBC News that authorities responded to a break-in on the 2300 block of North Edgemont Street in Los Feliz neighborhood of the city. 3 suspects reportedly breached the premises by climbing a fence and entering through a front window, ransacking the home and fleeing with an undisclosed amount of property. The value of the items taken was not disclosed. The suspects have not been publicly identified. The burglarized property was purchased by Pitt in 2023 at a cost of $5.5 million, according to magazine Domus. The abode was previously owned by oil heiress Aileen Getty, who in exchange acquired Pitt's. She's the one that does a lot of the environmental protests. Yeah. Acquired Pitt's own old house in the eastern Hollywood Hills at a cost of $33 million. Pitt also owns another property in Carmel by the Sea, a mansion he purchased in 2022.
Yeah, and this definitely had to be an inside job. They hopped a fence, went into a front window they probably knew was going to be unlocked, went probably directly to where they knew things were in the house, and then left. Because even if he doesn't have on-site security, which I would assume he has enough money to do that, they would have known when that's gone. Also, if he didn't have on-site security, he would have had cameras in the house. The police would have been called very quickly. So they wanted to be in and out of that house quick. I would suspect they probably got away with a hefty sum of money or jewelry. Mainly it's jewelry when they're breaking into these stars' homes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go into the final story of the day here.
So an update for Liver King.
And I covered this the other day and I made a video. So if you don't know about Liver King and Joe Rogan, this is the update story.
From Variety, Liver King ordered to undergo mental health evaluation is subject to restraining order after arrest for Joe Rogan threat.
And this is kind of what I was talking about fake masculinity. The Liver King embodies this perfectly, but a lot of Hollywood stars do now too. It's this fake social media, like, this is what it means to be a man. I'm a man. I'm a man, rather than just being who you are. And yeah. I think The Rock is, he's not as bad as the Liver King, but is kind of that manufactured sense as well.
But then there's also this new crop of the ones that they're trying to make into stars, like Pedro Pascal, Timothée Chalamet, where it's a non-toxic masculinity, where masculinity is completely removed and the toxic traits.
Yeah, they're going to the far ends of the
feminized.
spectrum. It's either feminist masculinity or overly masculinized masculinity, rather than just presenting a real man in real life situations and seeing how they would how a real person deals with them, but with a sense of like masculinity through honor and things and the perspective of a man. Okay, let's continue to go here.
Brian Johnson, the influencer who calls himself the Liver King, was released from a county jail in Texas after posting a $20,000 bond following his arrest for making space-based terroristic threats against podcaster Joe Rogan. Johnson was released Wednesday, June 25th, with a restraining order mandating he stay at least 200 yards away from Rogan and Rogan's family members, according to Travis County Court records. The court also required Johnson to undergo a mental health evaluation within 1 week of his release.
And I wouldn't say that Liver King's a star or he's in movies, but neither is Joe Rogan. But these guys are kind of like what I was saying, what I was kind of profiling the actors for. Joe Rogan is real authenticity, real masculinity. Well, this Liver King is manufactured. And yeah. So I think this story really represents, it's funny that I kind of ended with it, but what real masculinity is in the modern age, whether it's actors or social media influencers.
And apparently, following his release, Johnson resumed posting videos to his Instagram account, which has 3 million followers, and continued to claim he wants to fight Joe Rogan.
Yeah, and I followed the Liver King for a long time, mainly because it was comedy to me. But he is really in a real downward spiral. I watched all of his things since he was released from jail, and he really looks like he's having a mental breakdown here. I don't know what's going on with him or his family, or maybe it's just he's going through a midlife crisis, or maybe he's trying to get off of all the enhancements he's on, I guess you were saying. He was spending $11,000 a month on PEDs and things like this. So you can't keep that kind of usage up forever. And he's been on them for a long time.
And in the videos, Johnson revealed he was wearing an ankle bracelet and he was subject to a curfew from 9 p.m. at night to 6 a.m. the following morning. Also Thursday, he posted a video of himself on all fours sidling down the hallway at a Four Seasons hotel.
Well, and we showed where he was following a cockroach around on the ground. And I mean, he has a Joe Rogan has a restraining order on him. He's not allowed to talk about Joe Rogan in social media videos or online. He's constantly talking about him since he's been released. He's still in Austin. He's going around downtown Austin. So, and he made some very ominous videos before his arrest that I kind of now found where he's, talking about he's not going to make any more videos for a long time, and then maybe he'll make one. So it looks, and this was just before he went to Austin. So I think he was alluding to maybe doing something to Joe Rogan. So I don't know. At first I wanted to think it was a publicity stunt to get on the Joe Rogan show and get media attention. But after seeing his authentic mental state at some of the videos he posted before the arrest, which I didn't see before, and the ones he's now posting after the arrest, this guy is really suffering from a mental breakdown. And it's going to be interesting what happens to him over the next few months or even the next year.
I think it is also dangerous, and it can happen to a lot of people that acquire fame really quickly, especially for something that maybe anybody else could do as well. It's hard for a lot of people to know how to handle that.
Yeah, and I don't know why he got so pissed at Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan just pointed out the fact that he was on a bunch of steroids, and everybody knew it already. He kept saying he's not. He could have just come clean and said, yeah, I'm going to continue to do this. And I mean, a lot of influencers have had admitted it, but at his core identity, he has this fundamental base that he's not going to lie. So the fact that he's not even able to admit when he's lied and things like this, it's just a sad state to see him spiraling out of control right now. Okay, thanks for tuning into a lot. Oh, do we have any comments, by the way?
No, but thank you, Rafa, for leaving us your previous comments.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning into Live with the Guy, Monday through Friday at 12 Central. We have a counterpart to the show at 9:15 right back here, Central Time. It's more of a political show, so if you're interested in politics, please come back. Adios.
Goodbye.